You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Rislone. Getting things underway in this brand new season, 750 horses of Hemi Challenger, built by a legend of New Zealand drag racing, and horsepower heaven at Mike's Engines in Whangarei. But first, thanks to our mates at Rislone, we hit the Manawatu's automotive big day out. Up at Sparrows for Palmerston North Hot Rod Club's epic annual swap meet at Manfield, before a quick trot down the road to Cruisin' Customs' ever-popular open day, the Midwinter Chill Out.
This year it's a little bit special. We've been celebrating our 50th anniversary of the Palmerston North Hot Rod Club all through the year. We see this as really, believe it or not, the beginning of the summer hot rod season. You wouldn't credit that today. It's a really good event for people to come out of the winter woodwork and get together and a bit of a chit and a chat and look at all the cars. And after the swap meet, Cruisin' Customs open up their workshop in Palmerston North as well, which in conjunction with the swap meet makes a fairly full hot rodding day for all the guys that come along and who are interested in it.
In these days of modern conveniences such as online marketplaces and auctions, it's great to see the tried and true in action. The good old-fashioned swap meet is still holding its own here.
It's not dying here, not yet. Kind of gone from being what we would call a swap meet or a fundraising effort to an event as such. And the event being, on one hand, the swap meet outside, and on the other hand, the trade displays and the car displays on the inside. There's people from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island. Pre-COVID, there's even an occasion we get people coming across from Australia to have a look at the swap meet. And generally, unless it's really poor weather, we have a very good turnout. And we've been lucky in the last few years with our weather, especially this time in August.
The crowds might hail from far and wide, but a big chunk of Palmy Swap Meet's ongoing success comes from a thriving local car culture. It seems there's something in the water down this way. Petrol, by the looks of it.
There's restoration places out in Rangitia, there's restoration places in Palmerston North. We've got 2 or 3 hot rod clubs based close to Palmerston North, down to Levin and whatnot. Coupled with that, you've got a fair few muscle cars, American cars, Australian car clubs. So yeah, it's quite strong, and that's one of the reasons why I think we get really good support at the swap meet, is that all those groups of cars come together. We don't make it a hot rod only thing, it's more of a petrol head or a car enthusiast type show, and you only can look around and you can see that through this whole event. We're still going strong today, and we're still going to be going strong, I hope, in the next 10 years. So much so that we're going to, next year, our contract comes up for Manfield. We're booking it for another 5 years. That's how confident we are that hot rodding is going to be booming along. Maybe not the same guys, but it'll still be here. It's as much about the people as it is about the cars.
Come early afternoon, when the bargains have been snapped up and the show sights seen, a good chunk of this lot's attention turns to nearby rod, custom and lately pickup shop, Cruisin' Customs, and their annual open day dubbed the Midwinter Chill Out.
Having the swap meet in the morning is awesome. You know, Palmy Hot Rod Club, they put on an awesome show and stuff like that, and it kind of just rolls into the afternoon with us, and it becomes an all weekend sort of thing. You know, people coming in today that are from the bottom of the South Island and, you know, Auckland and North, and they road trip down. It's their midwinter getaway.
That makes it a double whammy for the people that have travelled a long distance. They come to the swap meet, they come to the open day, they get 2 things in one day. Great. We have maybe 1,000, 1,500, maybe 2,000 people through the doors. Yeah, it's just a big thank you, and it's really get quite a buzz out of the fact that people come along and they look at something and they look at the quality of the work that the guys are doing, and it just makes us feel like we're doing the right thing.
With a staff of 13, Cruisin' Customs has staked its claim as one of this country's larger workshops. And that means there's plenty under the knife for open day punters to check out up close.
Cruisin' Customs is a hot rod shop based in Palmerston North. We've been operating for 16 years now, 17 years coming up. We are the type of shop that kind of specialises in making your vehicle the way you want it to be. We don't do a lot of restorations or anything like that. If you come along and say that you want big wheels on a car, you want it sitting low, you want the body changed, etc., etc., that's the type of stuff that we specialise in. We build one car and a customer comes in and they see an aspect on the car and they go, hey, can I have that in my car? And sure, of course you can. And they kind of roll like that. You build one good car and then it just does it for itself after that. Like I say, you know, they want one aspect in the car and then the next aspect and so on and so on. Then by the end of the build, they've got something pretty cool.
And being a one-stop shop, bar and upholsterer off-site, the day's lineup was an impressive one and covered various stages of construction. One of the workshop's standouts was Todd's low-slung 71 Chevy pickup. Looking over the extensive modifications, you might be surprised to hear the client brief was actually one pretty short and sharp.
The main objective in this truck was to get it low and have a chili bin in the back for him and his mates, and it had to be better than his wife's car, really. We got Kurt Gooden to do a couple of concept drawings before we'd basically even started pulling it apart. You know, we sort of knew we wanted to go off that California mini truck theme, hence with the 24s on the back and, you know, the big dish and stuff like that, you know, give it that real California feel, but being able to drive it on our roads, you know, it's got the super ride front end in it, you know, the shock waves, all that sort of stuff. It's going to drive just as good as it looks. Brand new LSA motor, 4-speed auto behind it, and out to a 9-inch at the back, so it'll should smoke those tyres up pretty good actually.
The specs are impressive on their own, but it's the detail and execution where this handcrafted Chevy comes into its own.
We're hoping that this is going to be one that people look at and go, why is that cool? They don't really know why it's cool until they sit it next to a stock one or something like that. You know, just little details that have been put into that truck. We're hoping it's going to show off in the end, and the finished product's going to be pretty amazing.
Parked next to the C10 and a couple of decades its senior was this Chevy Ute, and it's coming along rather nicely.
It's a 51 Chevy that was taken into Australia, and then they were coach built with the Ute on the back. So they're quite a rare vehicle. I believe there's only 2 of them in the country. We got a bare chassis rails and the outer body panels. That was it. Sectioned the front end out so we could get the front end in lower, so the chassis has been modified at the back. We've narrowed and kicked up the rear end to get it lower as well. It's got all K members and everything in it. We've done a lot of internal modifications to the seating positions and things like that, because the owner is quite a big guy. So we've made this a car that he can fit into, running an LS1 with a T5 manual, 9-inch rear end, 4-wheel disc brakes. The engine's all going to be painted like a Chevy orange. You know, it's LS, and all the coils have been relocated, standard old school script rocker covers, standard 4-barrel manifold type of thing, so it looks like it's going to be original. It's very cool doing something that's different. We've been able to do the modifications to the rear tray that you wouldn't see before, with the opening lid, and we've had a few liberties to be able to make modifications. The benefit of doing a hot rodding is you can make it work. You know, you don't have to be stuck with that restoration thing where that's the correct part that has to be done. We can make these things like LS, airbags, manual, 9-inch, so on and so on, and all the body panel modifications. This car's got a lot of unseen modifications. The exterior is going to look stock with the body panelling. It's when you look into the deck or look into the interior under the hood, that type of thing, that's where you'll see all the differences. Being able to give somebody that enjoyment and the vision that they had in their mind and turn it into reality that's the biggest reward of all of it. When a customer comes in and you're able to show them what you've done and they're going, wow, and, you know, and all this type of stuff, that's, for me personally, is the biggest reward, seeing a smile on somebody's face.
Plenty of smiles too for this lot, getting to wander around one of the country's most well-known workshops armed with a beer and a sausage for their travels. As Cruisin' Customs Midwinter Chill-Out draws to a close, so too does the mighty Manawatu's Big Day Out. Great to see 2 events working together in a way that brings people from far and wide to take in a bit of Palmy's strong car culture, a culture that's only getting stronger.
The stuff happening around the Manawatu and, you know, Wanganui region and stuff like that, you know, it's getting bigger and bigger. You know, they're organising cruise nights and breakfasts, and, you know, we haven't got the big shows like, you know, Auckland or Christchurch or anything like that, but it's definitely building, yeah.
The advanced protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rislone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rislone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rislone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rislone is the original engine tune-up. Available at participating stores near you.
You're back with Repco Muscle Garage. We've got 750 horses of Hemi Challenger coming up real quick. But first, shed raid time thanks to our mates at Mount Shop. This week, we're up north in Whangarei, getting up to speed with Mike's Engines, a business run by a gentleman not called Mike at all.
Oh, predominantly we're a machine shop. Originally it was a machine shop, been around for close to 30 odd years, but we bought the business about 7 years ago now and sort of diversified a little bit and doing a bit more custom car work, certification, revinning of vehicles, complying vehicles. Yeah, but we're still doing a lot of the traditional machine work and building motors, etc. So beside us here we've got an old early Ford tractor block that's, you know, for one of the local farmers around the place, and you know, there's still quite a lot of that going on. But yeah, getting into the, you know, the LSs and the Barras and, you know, custom car work, airbag suspension work. Recently finished a 66 Caddy, full custom job. We've got a 59 Apache. We're doing a full custom job, chassis, C-notch, airbags, Heights front end, all wheeled braked, etc. Twin turbo LS. So getting into that, a lot of that cool stuff too. The boys will really enjoy it.
Not only has the business evolved over the years, so too have the power plants.
17, 18 years ago, I really did my first Cleveland and an XY Falcon Ute that I built, a GT replica. You know, 500 was the magic number we aimed for, and we got it. It took a hell of a lot of work to get that. No turbos, all naturally aspirated. But I suppose drivability of that was not really ideal in a street sense. So, you know, you could do that same sort of setup with a number of changes with the technology today, and it'd be so much more nicer to drive on the street, but you're going to have that power there. You know, you're seeing street cars with 1,000 horsepower is not unheard of at all. You know, technology with ECUs and fuel injection, you can have a 1,000 horsepower street car. Really a bit of an overkill, you don't need that at all, but it's available to be there, and you can get them sort of quite streetable too.
Steve himself has owned and street-driven a bunch of tough cars. We shut up here some 3 years back to feature his airbagged Galaxy, packing a twin-turbo and fuel-injected 307Q Windsor. The 64 was sold not too long after, followed up by another twin-turbo V8, this time wrapped in an F100. But there's a new project on the go these days as Steve turns his attention to his quarter-mile ambitions. He's not exactly easing into it either, picking up a proven low 9-second body and cramming in a boosted LS in place of the previous big block Chrysler.
I think it's a VF Valiant. Aussie Valiant's sort of like the 68, 69 Dodge Dart, very similar, basically the same sort of thing as that. We bought it as a roller and I just always wanted to have a go at it, and we thought let's give it a crack. So the plan was to do twin turbo LS build in that, and that's what we've done. It's all running and driving. We're just working through some tuning stuff at the moment. It's an iron blocked LS, LY6 block I believe it is. We've got CNC ported LS Street heads, twin precision 75, 76s going on it, water air, intercooler. It'll make a lot of power. It's a 403 cube stroker with 4-inch stroke. Be interesting to see how that goes. I'm definitely not going to need all the power that that's got. Not when you're learning and you've never done it before, so. It's 4 figures at least, so yeah. We'll just leave it at that for now. But not to start with. I think, you know, 500-600. Let's just go back to the 500 horsepower mark for now.
Another shop project will see the odd quarter-mile pass, but the top priority here is one tough street car.
VH Commodore. Well, I bought that as a roller as well. It had a 9-inch true track centre, 31 spine axles, that was all in it. Had big VT brakes on it, etc. Pretty clean car. So the idea with that is another turboed LS, single turbo this time, off the side, 6 litre, alloy block, street car. We're not looking for 4 figures on that. We're not worried about that. It's just get in, have a little bit of fun with it, really. Just something a bit different for Whangarei, I suppose. I don't think there's a turbo LS up here. There may be, and we're not in one of those, I don't think. But we'll just, it'll be what it'll be, I suppose. So, yeah, got to go and get some paint done on it soon, and then we'll get it in and get it running. Father's Day drags was a goal for it, but we're probably pushing a little bit of time with that one. So maybe Christmas time, have it ready.
There's little shortage of stuff on the go at Mike's Engines. The Whangarei workshop has grown to a team of 7. And for a lifelong car guy like Steve, it's a pretty sweet way to spend his days.
Oh, I love coming to work. Every day I love coming to work. It's been my passion since I was a kid, really. I don't know, it's a little bit tricky to answer why. It just is. Old cars, it just is. Yeah.
Right, if the words Hemi and Challenger don't get your attention, you might be tuned into the wrong show. Thanks to Maguire's, meet Graham and his 70 Dodge Challenger, a muscle car built by a legend of New Zealand motorsport.
I guess it's been told to me it was an obsession in my state of mind. It's with me for life, As soon as I could drive the things, I was in them, I just got the Mach 1 Mustang, and I just set off with the Mustangs and started doing that myself, and just carried on from there, really. I've lived long enough now to say, yeah, it's definitely an obsession. So, yeah.
And with a shift from the UK came a change in brand loyalty. It wasn't exactly the plan, however.
I was probably ill-informed when I come over here, and they says, oh no, don't bother bringing your Mustangs here, mate, there's lots of them, And I says, well, I've got a 65k coded GT, and what about my 70 Boss 302, No, plenty of them in New Zealand, don't bother with them. So I thought, oh, well, fair enough, took his word for it. I was disappointed when I got here, and I found, well, I need to get my Boss back, but there's no way I was going to part with it. And so I was like, oh, well, that's it. And yeah, there's Mustangs like on every corner in New Zealand as in comparison to the UK. So I thought, yeah, maybe something else needs to come along then. And I guess I saw the black GTX of a very good friend of mine, and I thought, probably could do with one of them, or maybe have a change, Earlier it was an obsession, but then I got into the Mopars, and then I guess there was just no looking back.
The Mopar bug sure has taken hold, but as far as symptoms go, a 70 Dodge Challenger and Moulin Rouge is one most of us would be happy to live with. The advert wasn't overly descriptive, but any sentence with the words Hemi and Challenger in it is going to grab some attention. It gets better. Turns out, this advert was placed by none other than New Zealand drag racing legend Mike Gearing, once the country's quickest and fastest down the quarter, and builder of countless race engines, but few quite so revered as his nitro-fueled Hemi engines developed for the top fuel class.
I didn't really know Mike Gearing that well. I looked him up in the NZ interviews, NZV8 interviews with him, and I was like, holy hell, The more I know about him, the more the car's got a lot of NZ history, and it's a Hemi Challenger, so to a lot of Mopar people, Hemi Challenger, there you go. Iconic car from an iconic man who motorsport and builder, So I was fortunate enough to not only get to know him as a friend, and now I own what was this car that he put together,
A paint and body man by trade, now operating out of his little shed developments workshop near Featherston, Graham has managed to resist the urge to mess with the car that Mike built. That's despite the well-worn pink not being his usual hue of choice.
Let the Mike Gearing live on, And if I can keep things like that going forward, then I will. I'll do everything I can to keep it going forward, So, because I think in New Zealand, the guys like the Mike Gearing and Garth Hogan, them guys, they're easily forgotten in New Zealand, but such as your Don Prudhomme and Don Garlitz and, things like that, we're all like, know of them, So, let's look at our own guys as well, because they were just probably better than, because they didn't have all the sponsorship and all the money and the fancy racetracks and that lot, but they were here doing it, So I think let's not forget about it.
Streetcar is a relative term. To a guy like Mike Gearing, who's bolted together thousands of horsepower's worth of top fuel Hemi mills, then yes, I guess 750 horses of naturally aspirated 484 Hemi, chock full of race spec components, is the perfect setup for a quick strop to the shops.
You know, you look at it and it's like, as I say, it's a ductile steel Mopar performance block, cross-bolted, you know, girdle block and that. I mean, well, really, how many street cars need all of that, you know? It's a 484 cubic inch now, and it's the steel stroker crank with platinum steel I-beam rods, forged pistons, high compression forged pistons in it. It's got a roller cam in it, and Mike Gearing cylinder heads, polished ported, and to match the inlet manifold, which Mopar inlet manifold, with the 1050 on top of that. He's got a real trick sump on it as well, with his little gates and things like that in it, to make sure it's got continuous oil, no surge or anything like that. So, but I've yet to look into that, you know, because I've seen what he said he's done, and I was like, Jesus, you know, Streetcar.
The near 8 litres of Hemi is backed by a beefed-up 727 torque flight and feeds a Dana 60, both with decades of service to their name. At 1050 CFM, the carb is certainly on the thirsty side too, and the Challenger may suffer slightly worse fuel economy than when first advertised in 1970. That doesn't seem to slow Graham or the car down much.
Like, I thought it was pretty good at $400 coming back from Auckland, you know? But a lot of people like frown at that. But yeah, I can get it better than that. I can go from here and I can go to a local shop, cast them back, and I can use $60 in like, what, 18 Ks, you know? So it depends how you want to drive it, you know? It'll eat as much as you want it to eat. It's built to be driven. So yeah, definitely. So it gets driven, and sometimes gets driven really hard, you know? Sometimes we're kind of facing it the other way when we shouldn't have really been.
Your ride needs some love? We've got you sorted. Thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we have this massive complete car care pack worth over $760 to give away. Plus, a $500 Mount Shop voucher to keep the underside ship-shape too. And to top it off, 1 year subscription to NZ V8 magazine. To enter, simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series. Easy. During this year's Repco Supercars Championship season, the garage is your go-to place for all things supercars and motoring. Exclusive content, special guests, and your chance to win amazing experiences at the track. Register your interest today. Repco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Rislone, high performance additives for high performance vehicles.